The story kicks off with a starry-eyed kid named Raymond, crammed in a car with his doting mom, Ginny, like it's just another Tuesday road trip. She's chauffeuring him to the camp of a little game called the Long Walk. Oh, you know, the death race, because who doesn't love a wholesome stroll? This delightful competition, cooked up by the state, is all about forging iron-willed folks who can laugh in the face of life's cruelties. Hold your breath, it's about to get grim. As they roll up to the camp's gate, Ginny's practically on her knees, pleading with Raymond to ditch this insane plan, terrified he'll end up a corpse she'll never see again. But Raymond, stubborn as a mule, digs in his heels and declares he's got to win this race to polish up his dad William's tarnished honor. Then, in a scene dripping with melodrama, Raymond waves goodbye to Ginny, swearing he'll snag the victory and waltz back to her like a hero. Cue the heartbreaking violin. At that moment, he struts into the camp and bumps into a fellow doomed soul named Peter. While they're twiddling their thumbs, waiting for the major, the death race's oh-so-charming founder, they mingle with more contestants. 50 brave or foolish souls make up the grand total. First up is Steve, a muscle-bound jock who worships sweat and shuns small talk like it's a disease. Next is Olson, a guy who's got dollar signs in his eyes, dreaming of the fat cash prize that'll supposedly fix his sorry life. Then there's Arthur, who's shaking in his boots but puts on a brave face, claiming this race will be a breeze because, you know, he's practically a professional walker. Spoiler, it's not a walk in the park. Then they spot a kid, barely 18, psyching himself up for the race, though his terrified eyes scream he'd rather be anywhere else. In a flash, the major, the death race's twisted mastermind, swaggers in and reminds them of rule number 13. Save your energy, kids, you're gonna need it. He barks their names, handing out numbers to dangle around their necks like dog tags for the slaughter. Once the major's done with his little ceremony, he lines them up like lambs and lays out the rules. Keep walking for endless miles, or get a warning. Once, twice, then bang, the soldiers make you a memory. Walk or die, what a deal. The major, ever the motivational speaker, pumps them up, saying 50 start but only one wins, bagging a pile of cash in a wish? Any wish, how generous. He adds that this brutal game is all about crafting tough guys to make the state the world's top dog. And so the race kicks off. 50 suckers start marching, flanked by 3 tanks with cameras capturing every miserable moment. The major's goons ride along, guns at the ready, itching to warn anyone who dares pause or, gasp, quit. At this point, the race is fresh, and nobody's feeling the burn or whining about sore feet. So Raymond, Peter, Olson, and Arthur saunter along, swapping stories to keep their spirits from crumbling. Suddenly, a guy named Gary gets a pesky stone in his shoe and, oh, the drama, sits down to yank it out. Cue the ominous music. The soldiers swarm him, guns raised, barking first and second warnings. They're a heartbeat from turning him into Swiss cheese, but at the last second, Gary leaps up and keeps trudging. Raymond and Peter, jaws dropped, can't believe Gary risked it all so early, but he smirks, saying it was just for a quick breather. They rib him, pointing out he nearly became the race's first tragic footnote. Then Peter, curious, prods Raymond about his take on this circus. Raymond scoffs, calling the whole thing a pathetic charade, tossing 50 people into a meat grinder with one survivor, which he snidely dubs a crime against humanity. He sneers that the cash prize is chump change. He's chasing a deeper goal. What's his secret? Keep watching. Peter nods, half agreeing, but admits he's all about the money. His ticket to a better life. The group keeps cracking jokes until a random guy sneaks up, scribbling their names and numbers like he's got a hot date with bureaucracy. He announces he's a writer, here to pen a bestseller about this nightmare. How quaint. Seconds later, Raymond spots the 18-year-old kid clutching his leg, crippled by a cramp and unable to walk. Raymond dashes over, playing hero, trying to help the poor kid. He calms the boy enough to hobble on, but oh, cruel fate. The kid collapses, exhausted, in a pitiful heap. Heartbreak incoming. The soldiers circle like vultures, issuing warnings 1 and 2, and when the kid can't rise, they coldly gun him down. That's the first body to hit the ground. The others, horrified, keep marching, too scared to stop. By mile 17, Raymond's dragging, doubting he's got what it takes to win this twisted game. Peter, ever the wise guy, tells him to take it one agonizing step at a time to keep hope alive. Then Peter digs deeper, asking who put these radical ideas in Raymond's head. Raymond, with a bitter edge, says his dad, William, a sage who saw through the system's rot and spat on its rules. Peter opens up, confessing he once dreamed of being a poet, penning sappy lyrics until this cursed race derailed his life. Olson and Arthur chime in, saying they should savor this torture while it's early and stick together as a team. They dub themselves the Knights. How noble. But for how long? Out of nowhere, a contestant drops, too weak to go on, and the others watch him die like it's just another Tuesday. Gary, ever the class act, mocks the dead guy, crowing that the fun's just begun and fewer players mean an easier win. Arthur snaps, telling Gary to get lost. After 25 miles, they're feeling the ache, so they munch on snacks to keep going. But Olson's leg starts screaming, and he's limping badly. Raymond, playing coach, tells him to slow down to stay in the game. Olson listens and steadies himself. Then Raymond notices Peter's body, a roadmap of scars, and asks about them, but Peter shuts him down, keeping his secrets locked tight. Just then, Olson drops his food and can't stop to grab it. Raymond, the saint, shares his own stash, and Olson's all smiles, thanking him like he's just won the lottery. Meanwhile, Gary, the resident jerk, taunts another contestant, slinging insults like a pro. The guy swings at him, but Gary, quick as a cat, dodges and laughs in his face. The real shock comes when Gary trashes the guy's mom, and the poor sap lunges, only to trip and faceplant, unable to get up. Bad move, buddy. The soldiers count down 3 warnings and blast him to oblivion. Raymond and Arthur point fingers at Gary, calling him a murderer, but Gary shrugs it off, blaming the guy for attacking him and cursing anyone who dares judge him. Soon after, another contestant, desperate for a bathroom break, stops in agony. The soldiers, ever merciful, shoot him dead for daring to pause. Keep moving or kiss the dirt. Tension spikes as night creeps in. Out of nowhere, Raymond dozes off, dreaming of Ginny crooning his favorite tune, a fleeting moment of peace. It's a short nap, but Peter says he was out for 3 hours, propped up by his buddy. Raymond thanks him, shares the dream, and they keep joking to fend off despair. Raymond reminds Peter he vowed to Ginny he'd win and return. But then his leg gives out, and as they climb a slope, the soldiers start barking warnings. Peter yanks him along, keeping him upright. The pressure's crushing, and some contestants crack, stopping, and the soldiers show no mercy, dropping them like flies. Raymond's panicking, gasping for air, but Peter, cool as ever, makes him splash water on his face and drags him past the slope. Survive or say goodbye. Day 2 dawns, and they've hit 59 miles. Raymond and Peter notice Olson silent, barely dragging himself along. They try to lift his spirits, but then they glance back and see the rider. Leg shattered, unable to move. Raymond's gut twists as the soldiers gun the rider down right there. Peter, trying to hold it together, tells Raymond to bottle up his feelings and keep going. The major struts up, congratulating them for hitting 100 miles, urging them to fight on like it's a pep rally. But then they see Steve, the group's Herculean hero, wheezing, barely able to breathe. Steve gripes about an annual allergy hitting at the worst possible time, but vows to push through for the win. Peter, ever nosy, asks Raymond, Olson, and Arthur what wishes they'd make if they won. Arthur, with a smirk, wants a spaceship to jet off to the moon. Olson dreams of globetrotting in luxury. Peter says he'd use the cash to give his pals a good life. Raymond, all gloom, says he hasn't even thought about a wish, doubting he'll win, even with only 15 left. The clock's ticking. Gary mocks him, calling him a liar for hiding his wish, and Raymond snaps, telling him to shut up, especially after he got their buddy killed. They sing to shake off the grim vibe. At night, Raymond nods off again, and Peter plays human crutch until he wakes. Day 3 starts, and Raymond pulls out a baseball, tossing it with Peter as they walk. But then Arthur's hit with stomach cramps, desperate for a bathroom break. Raymond and Peter yell at him to hurry as soldiers close in, warnings piling up. Arthur scrambles up at the last second, but stinks so bad they tell him to keep his distance. Raymond opens up to Peter, spilling the real reason he's here. Revenge on the Major for murdering his dad. Dark secrets unfold. He explains William was a free-thinking teacher who loathed the corrupt system and rallied folks to fight for their rights. But one quiet day, the Major stormed in, had his goons tie William up, and demanded loyalty to the regime to spare his life. William, defiant, said goodbye to Ginny and Raymond, and the Major killed him in a gruesome spectacle. So Raymond tells Peter if he wins, he'll demand a gun to take out the Major. Peter, ever the voice of reason, warns that revenge will ruin him and begs him to drop it. Ginny's waiting, and the Major's men would kill him anyway, breaking her heart again. They trudge on, passing 170 miles, when a contestant, too weak to continue, begs the soldiers to let him quit. The tank driver, with zero chill, runs him over, severing his leg. Brutal, right? That night, at 203 miles, Raymond sees Olson, unable to walk, charge the soldiers in a doomed rebellion. They shoot him dead. Arthur rushes to help, but the soldiers warn him too. Raymond yanks Arthur away, and they leave Olson to his chosen fate. On day 4, Parker's reeling from Olson's stunt, but Peter, with a grim nod, says he respected Olson's calm exit. Parker drops a bombshell. Olson was married, hoping to win to make his wife a famous singer. Peter sees despair in Parker's and Arthur's eyes and rallies them as a team to fight on. Gary, ostracized for causing a death, sidles up to Raymond, whining about his guilt and claiming it was an accident. He begs Raymond to get Peter to let him join their crew, saying he's never had friends and acted tough to be noticed. Raymond promises to talk to Peter, but Peter's not having it, refusing to forgive Gary. Feeling like a pariah, Gary, in a fit of despair, stabs himself in the neck. The soldiers, sticklers for rules, still count his warnings before finishing him off. Poetic justice, maybe? On day 5, after 278 miles, Parker tells Raymond they're nearing his home state, where Ginny's waiting. He urges Raymond to hang on to comfort his mom, but Parker's bitter, longing for his own home, and jealous Raymond might see his family. They push another 8 miles to Raymond's state, but his shoe splits, stopping him cold. Peter tells him to ditch it and go barefoot, though Raymond's paranoid about injuring his foot and dropping out. Seconds later, he spots Ginny on the roadside, waving. He sprints to her, sobbing, sorry for ignoring her warnings about the race. Peter chases him, pulling him back to save him from dying in front of her. Don't break Mom's heart. Peter finds Raymond shattered, terrified he'll lose and never see Ginny again. He reminds him he's walked 5 days, his dreams close, and he must fight for his mom. Moved by their reunion, Peter shares his own tragedy. His parents died in a war when he was a kid, and his drunk uncle raised him until he drank himself dead when Peter was 10. Homeless, Peter lived a brutal life with other street kids, picking fights until a stronger foe beat him senseless, landing him in a hospital, scarred and broken. That's when he realized he'd been wrong to fight bigger battles and decided to chase a new life. That's why he's in the race, aiming for the prize to help others like him. Raymond, awed, vows to fight alongside him to the end. Steve pipes up, saying with only 5 left, it's every man for himself. But Parker, in a wild move, attacks a soldier, grabs his rifle, and takes him out. The other soldiers swarm, shooting him down, but Parker goes out defiantly, ending it himself. What a way to go. Then Raymond and Peter see Arthur, nose bleeding, leg useless, unable to go on. He asks the winner to give his necklace to his grandma, saying he wanted to win to save her. He makes them swear not to watch him die. They take the necklace, and Arthur collapses, letting the soldiers end him instantly. Now only Peter, Raymond, and Steve remain. Steve drops a shocker. He's the Major's secret son, disowned and desperate to win to prove his worth. But his allergy's killing him, so he stops, choosing to die proud. Only 2 left. Place your bets. Just Peter and Raymond now, nearing the finish line as crowds cheer their names. Peter tries to stop, ready to sacrifice himself for Raymond's revenge. Raymond grabs him, insisting they finish together. But Raymond, sneaky, sits down without Peter noticing. Peter hears gunfire, spins around, horrified. But it's too late. The Major declares him the winner and kills Raymond. Gut punch moment. Peter's heart shatters for his friend, screaming in agony. But he channels Raymond's rage, demands a rifle as his wish, and shoots the Major square in the head. The film cuts to black. Revenge served cold. We'll catch you in the next recap. Thanks for sticking around.